Yo, what's up guys, it's King Sean here, back with another video, and in today's video, I will be breaking down the 53-man roster. It just released, and we're going to be jumping right into this, but before we do, if you guys are new to my channel, leave a like down below, subscribe, turn on notifications. I'm on the road to 4K subs, so if you could, hit that sub button, I'd really appreciate it, and with that out of the way, let's get straight into the video. Alright, so starting with the players that were released, we're going to start from the top. I'm just going to skim through this real quick. Casmer Allen, Chigozie Newsome, Kendall Brooks, Martavis Bryant. I actually had him in my 53-man roster prediction. I thought he would be our receiver 6, but he's not. Pringle got that spot. We will talk about him later. Tariq Castro Fields, I honestly thought he was going to make the roster. I had him in my prediction, but he didn't. I thought he has been really good this preseason, but he did not make it. So that's kind of a shocker to me, but not a full one, you could say. Braden Daniels, he didn't make it. Davion Davis, Julian Good-Jones, Jalen Harris, Sam Hartman, they all didn't make it. Let's see here. Justin Hollins, Andre Jones Jr., Austin Jones, Caillou Blue Kelly, Trace McSorley, Haggai Nuboduzi, I hope I said his name right, David N., James Pierre, Anthony Pittman, Benny Potoe, Sheldrick Redwine, Chris Rodriguez Jr., not a surprise right there. He hasn't been great this preseason in training camp. Marcus Rosemi Jack Saint, Chappelle Russell, Ricky Stromberg, that is a surprise right there, and we're going to be talking about him in a second. Amani Taylor, Mitchell Tinsley, Cameron Tom, Bryson Tremaine, Cole Turner, Nick Whiteside the second, Michael Wiley, which kind of is another shock right there, but we'll talk about him, and then A.J. Wood. So we're going to start with K.J. Henry, actually. We're going to get to Ricky Stromberg and Michael Wiley in a second. But K.J. Henry, that is a shock right there because he's been pretty good this preseason. Haven't heard his name a lot during training camp, but he's been really good this preseason. He's made some plays against the Dolphins. And this past preseason game against the Patriots, he made a lot of nice plays. He had a sack on Jacoby Brissett, and he was getting a ton of pressures early on in the game. So I thought K.J. Henry, he should have made the roster. But they decided to let him go. Jamin Davis, he made the roster. That's not a shock at all. So I guess, he took K.J. Henry's spot. And also, we kept 7 safeties on the roster. So that may, be another reason as to why, we let go of K.J. Henry, because we wanted to keep 7 safeties, another safety or 2. So that may be a reason why. But I guess we'll never know. K.J. Henry does suck that we did waive him. Now we waived him. So maybe if he clears waivers, then, he can revert back to our practice squad. But we'll see. I feel like he's going to get picked up off of waivers because he's a pretty good backup defensive end, rotational guy at defensive end. So I feel like a team is going to claim him off of waivers. Ricky Stromberg, that's another bit of a surprise there. I thought, he would make the 53-man roster. He's been pretty good in preseason. Hasn't done a lot in training camp, but he's been pretty good in the preseason. So I thought we would keep him, but I guess not. So that sucks right there. And then Michael Wiley, he did not make the roster. Jerry McNichols made the roster over him. I'm not going to lie, I don't like that. Michael Wiley, he's been really good this preseason. Had good games against the Patriots, Jets, and Dolphins. So I thought he was not a lock, but he was going to make the roster over Jerry McNichols. But I guess not, and it does suck that he didn't. So hopefully, he can make it back to our practice squad, but I'm just not sure. So that is it for the players that got cut. Moving on to the actual 53-man roster. First things first, quarterback. Actually, we kept 25 players on offense. Let's start with the quarterback position. No surprises here. Jaden Daniels, he's your quarterback 1. Mariota's the backup. And then we kept Jeff Driscoll, which you could say is a bit of a surprise, but I know the NFLPA kind of vetoed the rule saying that you could keep an emergency quarterback on your practice squad and then elevate him from the practice squad unlimited times during the regular season. So they kind of vetoed that rule, so it's no longer a rule anymore. So if teams want to keep an emergency quarterback, they have to keep him on their roster. So maybe that kind of forced us to keep Jeff Driscoll on our roster, but hey, maybe we'll never know. But I definitely don't mind Jeff Driscoll being our QB3 on the roster. You could say he's taking up a roster spot, but honestly, I don't mind. I know a lot of teams keep 2 QBs, but I don't mind just keeping 3. And then running back, B-Rob Eckler, obviously locks. And then Jerry McNichols made it over Michael Wiley. I do not like that because Michael Wiley, he's been balling out this preseason. He had a touchdown this past game against the Patriots. He had one against the Jets, and he had a couple nice runs against the Dolphins. Explosive catches, runs as well. So I feel like he should have made the roster over Jerry McNichols. I mean, Jerry McNichols just doesn't bring a lot to the table. He did not have a bad game against the Patriots, and I know he's a good special team contributor, but he just doesn't bring a lot to the table. I feel like Michael Wiley brings more to the table. I feel like he's a better back than Jerry McNichols, so I feel like he should have made the roster over McNichols. Hopefully, he can make it to the practice squad, but I'm just not sure. but we shall see what happens there. And then moving on to tight end, we kept 4 tight ends. Cole Turner is not one of those 4 tight ends. We were actually trying to, trade him, but we weren't able to get a trade done. So we just flat out released him. I mean, he was just really bad this training camp preseason. He was dropping passes left and right. Had 2 drop passes against the Patriots. I mean, that just cannot happen at all in a game. So it was time to move on from Cole Turner. Wish him the best of luck. We're probably not going to keep him on our practice squad. I mean, maybe we do, but probably not. If I had to guess him, he was just really, really, really bad this preseason and training camp. So I would not be surprised if we just went to another team. The 4 tight ends we did keep: Zach Ertz, John Bates, Ben Sinnott, and then Colson Yankoff. He made this roster, which is kind of a surprise. Did not expect him to make the roster. I know he's made some plays in the training camp and preseason, just not a lot. But it is cool to see him on the roster now. I would expect him to maybe get waived or release him and put on the practice squad in the next couple of days or so, because I know, we are second in the waiver wire, so we could pick up a wide receiver or a cornerback or whatever position of need. If we find a player that we're kind of interested in that is in waivers, we could put a claim on for him, for that guy, and, we can just get him on our roster because we're number 2 in the waiver wire, so we can easily just pick him up, and then boom, he's on our team. Maybe a wide receiver, maybe a guy like John Mechie or Tim Patrick, or maybe a cornerback. So we'll see. So expect, Colson Yankoff to probably be on practice squad in the next 24 or 48 hours. Moving on to the wide receiver room. Not gonna lie, this receiver room is pretty rough. It's very rough in my opinion. Terry McLaurin obviously is a receiver 1, but after him, who's your receiver 2? Probably gonna be Diami, but don't be surprised if we pick up or claim a receiver off of waivers. I know Tim Patrick and John Mechie, I'm not sure if they got waived or released. I think Tim Patrick got released, but John Mechie got waived. So we're number 2 in the waiver wire. So if we want him, we can put in a claim for him, and then we'll get him. So John Mechie is a guy to watch out for. And then with Tim Patrick, I would not be surprised if we signed him, but he hasn't played a full season. He hasn't even played an NFL game since 2021, an actual NFL game since 2021, because of injuries, season-ending injuries he suffered in 2022 and 2023. So, hopefully he can stay healthy, and if he does, then he can be a really good wide receiver with us. But obviously the 6 receivers we kept, like I said, Terry McLaurin, De'Ami Brown, and then he had Luke McCaffrey, Olamide Zaccheaus, Jamison Crowder. He's your punt returner, kick returner, or probably punt returner. We did keep Byron Pringles, so he's probably going to be our kick returner. So those are your 6 receivers, but do not be surprised if someone in that room gets released. Maybe a guy like Byron Pringle, maybe Jameson Crowder, probably not, but maybe a guy like Byron Pringle gets cut for another receiver we pick up off of, waivers or in free agency. So that room should change in the next couple of days, or maybe in a day or so. So we'll see. O-line, no surprises here really. Besides the fact that Rocky Stromberg got cut, I honestly thought he would make the roster. We kept 9 offensive linemen, 4 tackles, and then 5 interior O-linemen. Brandon Coleman, Nick Allegretti, Tyler Biotish, Sam Cosme, Andrew Wiley, Cornelius Lucas, Trent Scott, Michael Dieter, and then Chris Paul. Like I said, I really wish Ricky Stromberg would have made this roster, because he would have been a good, backup center, backup right guard to Tyler Biotish and Sam Cosme. But he didn't make the roster, so it is what it is right there. Moving on to the defensive side of the ball, we kept 5 defensive tackles instead of 4. Had us keeping 4 on my prediction, but we kept 5. We made room for John Ridgeway. We were initially gonna, try to find a trade partner for him, but we did not, so we just decided to, keep him. Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Jazon Newton, Fedarian Mathis, and John Ridgeway. All 5 of them made the roster. Obviously, Fedarian Mathis, John Ridgeway, they both made the roster, which, that's pretty cool. They both had a really good preseason, especially John Ridgeway, man. He dominated the Patriots in our last preseason game against them, and Mathis had a really good preseason game as well versus the Patriots. So they were like, you know what, let's just keep them both. And we have a really, really good defensive tackle room, man. I'm super excited to see, what this room can do this upcoming season. We have a lot of options at defensive tackle. It's going to be really fun to watch them this year. And then at defensive end, you have Cleveland Farrell, Dorrance Armstrong, Javonte Jean-Baptiste, Jamin Davis, and Dante Fowler. Now, Dante Fowler is listed as a linebacker, but he's an edge rusher. He's a defensive edge. He's going to rush off the edge, guys, so I'm not even going to pay attention to that. But interesting room. Like I said, I thought we would keep Cajun Henry. That was probably the most surprising cut today, but we didn't keep him, so is what it is there. And I guess Javonte Jean-Baptiste kept his spot, and then Jamin Davis, he has made the roster as an edge rusher now. I do expect him to get some snaps at linebacker, but the majority of his snaps will probably come off the edge. And then at linebacker, you have Bobby Wagner, Frankie Lavu, Miguel Walker, and Dominique Hampton. Note that Jordan McGee has been placed on IR, so he will miss at the very least the first 4 weeks of the season, but it'll probably be longer because he did, I think, tear his meniscus or something for meniscus injury, so he'll be out for a while, but he will be back this season. So we kept Miguel Walker on the roster as a linebacker and Dominique Hampton as a linebacker as well. So we have 7 safeties on the roster if you want to include Dominique Hampton, but technically he's listed as a linebacker. They have been giving him some snaps and reps at linebacker in training camp and preseason, so that's why they have him listed right there. Moving on, we have, let's see here, safety, Jeremy Chin, Quan Martin, Jeremy Reeves, Percy Butler, Tyler Owens, Derek Forrest, they all made the roster. I thought Derek Forrest would get cut because he wasn't that great against the Patriots, but, we decided to keep him. And our safety room is pretty deep. It's pretty talented. And, they wanted to find a way to kind of keep 7 safeties on the roster. And they did by, stashing Dominique Hampton, naming him as a linebacker. And then you have your 6 safeties, obviously the ones I just named. I'll name them once again. Jeremy Chin, Quan Martin, Jeremy Reeves, Percy Butler, Tyler Owens, and then Derek Forrest. So it's going to be very interesting how we use all the safeties this season. Obviously, Jeremy Reeves and Tyler Owens are going to be used a lot on special teams. But Martin, Chin, Butler, and Derek Forrest, you should see them out there a lot. Moving on to the cornerbacks, I had us keeping 6 on my roster prediction, but we decided to keep 5. I had Tariq Castro-Fields as my 6th cornerback, but he got cut, which is kind of unfortunate right there. He had a nice preseason. He had a really good preseason game against the Dolphins. But at cornerback, we kept Mikey Sanders still, obviously, Benjamin St. Juste, Emmanuel Forbes, Michael Davis, and Noah Igbinoghene. So no surprises right there. Igbinoghene didn't have a great game against the Patriots, but I knew that, we were going to keep him as a roster. He's not a bad, backup guy to Mikey Sanders still in the slot, so don't mind that we kept him on the roster. And then finally here we have special teams. Tress Ways, your punter, Tyler Ott, your long snapper, and then Cade York, your kicker. Cade York's probably going to be our starting kicker week 1, and I'm fine with that. He, nailed all of his kicks, including extra points against the Patriots. 2 field goals, 2 extra points. Would have liked to seen him, go from a longer distance in field goals. Only his field goals were like 33 and 35 yards, but he made both of his kicks, so probably going to be our week 1 kicker. But, we shall see. Maybe we bring in another kicker or 2 for this kicker competition to compete with him this week and next week, but we shall see. My prediction is Cade York will be our starting kicker week 1. So that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Comment down below what you guys think about this roster. And once again, this is the initial 53-man roster. So changes will be made. Updates to this roster will be made in the next couple of days with waiver claims and then guys we sign off of, free agency. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Once again, if you did, leave a like down below, subscribe, turn on notifications. I'm out to 4K subs. If you could, hit that sub button. I'd really appreciate it. And other than that, it's been K-Sean, and I'm out. Peace.